Thanks very much, Kevin. I'm Erin Roberts. I'm a partner at Zzeem, and today we're diving into one of the most important foundations of a successful membership association, your member value proposition. Your MVP is what gives members a reason to join, to stay engaged, and to renew year after year. We'll explore how to define a compelling member value proposition and how to bring it to life in everything that you do, from attracting new members and strengthening renewals to delivering programs and services that really resonate. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Zzeem is a consulting and association management agency dedicated to helping organizations grow stronger, more relevant, and more sustainable. We're delighted to have you with us today. And for our returning attendees, thanks for continuing to join our podcasts. You know our goal is always to deliver practical, high-impact insights in about 30 minutes that you can put into action immediately. These events also offer a window into how we work with associations like yours to solve challenges, strengthen engagement, and create long-term value. In today's podcast, I'm going to walk you through clear, actionable techniques to define your member value proposition, one that genuinely connects with your members, and show you how to use your MVP effectively in your day-to-day communications, decision-making, and service delivery. So, why does this matter? Well, if you're a membership organization, it matters quite a bit because your MVP is really helping to attract new members, to retain existing members, and to keep existing members satisfied. So what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to start by how to get to the member value proposition. Then I'm going to talk about how you can use it most effectively. And then we'll get into live Q&A and next steps. So in terms of what success looks like, if you've got this really nailed, you've got all of the three things we talked about earlier: member attraction, member retention, member satisfaction, and you've also got a strong member pipeline. Remember, you don't get members without a pipeline, and a pipeline is absolutely critical. So this podcast is part of the High Performance Membership Organization series, otherwise known as the HPO Podcast. If you'd like to find out more about what an HPO is, just scan the QR code. And if this link was forwarded to you, get your own personal subscription and don't miss an episode. And if you'd like a copy of the slides, just reach out. So let's talk very briefly about the High Performance Membership Organization. The organization at the high performance level has 8 key delivery areas. The first 5 are your backstage. The last 3 are your front stage, and your member value proposition is on the front stage. The front stage is what people see. It's what's very visible to all of your members and your non-members. This is where it fits in, and you can see that we've got a lot of member services, and we've got front stage elements that include the member value proposition. Essentially, the front stage is all about delivering value. If your organization is delivering value, then you'll have higher revenue and you'll also have higher sustainability. Generally speaking, with membership organizations, there are usually 4 reasons why people join and stay. The first one, of course, is the member value proposition. Does it resonate with me? If it doesn't, I probably won't join in the first place. The other reason I might join is that with the organization, I'm part of something bigger. The organization is giving me a stronger voice, more influence than I could have on my own. The last 2 elements are really very personal, and often these are the reasons, maybe the most powerful reasons why people tend to stay with organizations, because I've got something in common with the other members and I value that interaction and those connections. So these are the 4 reasons why we typically join and stay with organizations. Now let's talk about how do we define our member value proposition. This is a statement, just like your mission and your vision. It has to be defined, and you have to take the time to put the effort into it to make sure that what you've got really resonates. What's in your member value proposition is answering these questions for me as a prospective member. What's in it for me? Why should I care? And finally, why is it worth my time to engage? I've heard many prospective members say, you know what, I see value in what the organization does. I can see how I could get value out of it, but I am just moving so fast, I don't have another minute in my day to engage. So if I join the organization, I'm not going to get value because I just don't have the time to engage. This one, you really need to explain, and in a way that it makes sense to me. You need to explain why it's worthwhile me taking time out of my busy day to engage with the organization, because it's actually going to make me better, or it's going to save me time, or it's going to give me something that I don't have right now. You need to be able to answer that question as well. So let's talk about your vision, your mission, and your member value proposition. These are all critical filters. Every membership organization needs all three. If you want to find out more about a good vision and a good mission and how to get there, we've got a recent podcast on that. So I'm not going to go into that right now. What I'd like to do is explain why the member value proposition is distinct from these other two elements. What they have in common is all three of these elements are filters. So these are helping us to put a filter around our decision making. Does this decision, is it in line with our vision, our mission, and our member value proposition? And they all provide a direction. Vision is a very high level, long-term, aspirational direction. This says what we aspire to. Maybe it's something that we never expect to get to, but it's aspirational. The mission is what we do. This is what we do on an ongoing day-by-day basis. And the member value proposition, of course, is what's in it for me. Often, when we're looking at a website or we're hearing somebody talk about why we should join their organization, they give us a list of member services. And that's important. And you can understand why employees of an organization are going to be talking about the stuff that they do, because that is really meaningful to them. The difference is member services is what we do, what the organization does. The member value proposition is why those member services are valuable to you. You could list a long list of member services, but none of them might resonate with me until you explain to me why this, and this are valuable to you. So you have to be able to get into that mindset to explain it. Essentially, with your mission and your vision, the MVP is really the ground zero for membership organization. This is the platform for everything. So you want to make sure that you've really put effort into this member value proposition. And getting there is a process. It doesn't require an entire weekend retreat, but it does require a meaningful amount of your time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we do it. Essentially, we work on the basis of the 4 keys. And the 4 keys start off with the ideal member. Now, you've heard ideal client, ideal customer in regular marketing rhetoric. The ideal member is kind of a super persona. Unlike a kind of a marketing ideal client, this isn't a fictionalized representation. This is you going around your membership and looking for people that meet the ideal member qualification. These are people that are constantly supportive of the organization. They may not love everything you do, and they may tell you that, what they don't like about it, and that's an engaged member. That's something that's really valuable. People that will regularly be more than happy to recommend other people to join the membership of the organization. People that are willing to volunteer. People that are actively involved in helping you to get direction from your members. So these are all considerations and attributes of the ideal member. What you want to do is go around your membership and find a reasonable number of people that meet these criteria and make them representative across different cohorts. You know, suppliers and core members, different demographics, different elements of the profession or the industry. Look for representative people that are ideal members. So you're looking for real people. And then what you're going to do is look at those real people and find out what attributes they have in common. And that creates your ideal member persona. These are the attributes that these people have in common. Now, keep in mind, the ideal member is not the only type of member we're looking to attract. We're going to be looking to attract any member that can get value out of our member value proposition. The idea of the ideal member is simply a construct to get to our MVP, and also to help us to recognize an ideal member when we see them, because it's important that we know who our ideal members are. So in terms of the, let's go back to the ideal member for a minute. Once we've got that super persona created, what we're trying to do is describe what keeps them awake at night. What is it that they want? What do they really want? And then describe how our organization can help them to sleep at night and how it can help them to get what they really, really want. So the pain and desire is what you're looking to get from that ideal member persona that you've just created. Once you've got that pain and desire, now you're going to turn that answer into a statement. So here's a good example of an MVP statement. This is a real MVP statement. The name has been changed to protect the innocent. If your company is looking to grow its influence, expand its network, and strengthen its position in the market, OODA membership provides the platform. Now, this does a great job of answering the question, what's in it for me? It definitely speaks to me as a prospective member. It's not talking about the association and all of the services that it provides. It's doing a good job of that. What would make the statement even better is instead of just saying that we provide the platform, if it actually expressed how OODA actually provides that. That to me would make this an even better statement. Now, once you've got your statement, what you need to do is to build a marketing and service delivery system using it to inform all of your marketing activity and all of your service delivery. Now, when we're talking about marketing activity, we're talking about how we speak to prospective members and to renewing members. Service delivery is delivering on your member value proposition. So the process, as we do it, starts off with a 360-degree survey. You want to make sure that you're surveying all of your major stakeholder groups that are members within the organization. You want to be asking them very specific questions about why they're there, what's appealing to them. Don't ask them questions that are too hard. Ask them questions that they can easily answer from their day-to-day life. Once you've got that information, now you've got a good body of information to inform your live focus group. And you're going to put together a focus group. I prefer to do this in person. I feel it works better. And also people can stay engaged for longer periods of time, but it can certainly be done via a Zoom or a Teams call as well too. You just need to break it up a bit. But in any event, you've now got a focus group, which is a smaller group of those that you surveyed earlier. You're going to share that information with them. You're going to go through the process that we talked about identifying the ideal member, their pains and desires, and then you're going to get to stating your member value proposition. Once you've got that, though, that's just the first step. Now you've got to be using it effectively. So you want to create your roadmap, how we're going to use this member value proposition, and create a documented marketing system for how we're going to sell it to prospective members and to renewing members. Now, when we talk about using and selling your MVP, often what we're talking about is recruiting new members. So let's talk about that. Obviously, you're going to be sharing your member value proposition with them, but how are you going to do that? What I've found works the best is active hands-on recruitment. Now, email campaigns are great and you should definitely use them, no question about it. But email campaigns alone are not going to bring in a lot of new members. Let's face it, we're all overwhelmed with email. What we really want in terms of active hands-on recruitment is we want people picking up the phone. We want people going up to people at events, whether it's a member event, whether it's an industry or a professional event. We want people that are representing our organization actually going out and speaking to people. Now, obviously, there's only so many people that you can speak to on the phone or in person. So what you want to be doing is focusing on circles of influence to get maximum leverage from your efforts. And I'll talk about circles of influence in a minute. Let's start with active hands-on recruitment. First of all, use your volunteers. Yes, of course you want to be using your employees. After all, that's what they're getting paid to do. But at the same time, that's what gives them less credibility with the people they're selling to. If I'm a prospective member and an employee of an organization tells me all of the wonderful reasons why I should be a member, I see them as doing their job. They're not a member. They didn't put their money on the line to become a member. So to some extent, that's going to filter into my mind as salesmanship or rhetoric. Now, if the person who's talking to me actually is a member and they're giving me their own time at no compensation and they're talking about their own experience as a member, now that's bound to resonate with me. So what you want to make sure you're doing is you're using your volunteers and help them to come up with their own narrative. You don't want them to just repeat the member value proposition statement. You want them to express personally, this is why I joined and this is why I stayed. Here's what's in it for me from my perspective. It doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the same for everyone, but it does have the value of authenticity and resonance when somebody speaks about their personal experience. And do start with your directors. You want to make sure, if nothing else, that all of your directors know the MVP and they have a personal narrative around that MVP. Because remember, your directors have a lot of credibility with your members and with your prospective members. You want to make sure that they've got it nailed and they can help others to nail it as well. Now let's talk about circles of influence. Obviously, there's only so many people you're going to be able to bump into and pick up the phone to. So ideally, you want to leverage those moments that your volunteers and your employees are using. What you want to make sure you're doing is that you're reaching out to influential people with influential people. So have a look inside your membership and look at those members that have a circle of influence. You probably have people within your supplier group that have a circle of influence, people within your core member group that have a circle of influence. And even within those two groups, you've got people that have circles of influence that overlap, that are for different areas of the profession or industry. So think about who they are, because at the minimum, you want to be name dropping the names of those individuals or of those companies. You want to make sure that you are showcasing them to people who might be interested. Because when I'm trying to decide if I should join an organization, if I see somebody that I know of that's kind of way up the ladder from my perspective, that gives me the sense that, oh, this is a credible organization, because that person certainly wouldn't be a member unless it was worthwhile. So you want to make sure that you're using your influential members effectively. Now, whether that means just profiling them and name dropping them and making sure people are aware they're members, or can you actually get them to pick up the phone? If you can do that, you've got the best of both worlds. But if nothing else, just make sure people know they're members. Now, one circle of influence, of course, is your young professionals. Most membership organizations these days do have a young professionals network, and it really is a great addition to the member services and the collaboration opportunities that you're offering to your members. So if you've got one already, good for you. If you don't have one, really seriously consider it, because keep in mind, this is the pipeline for the next generation of your membership. And a lot, because of demographics right now, we've got more people retiring than coming into the workforce. You want to make sure you've got a good, solid pipeline for the next generation of membership. You want to make sure that you're using the network effectively. If you've got a young professionals network within your group, give them an element of self-determination. Don't just tell them what to do. You want to make sure that you give them a sense that they are there to be able to help make their own decisions and to have, a meaningful say in how the organization is run. So make sure that you've got that network and you're using it effectively. At the end of the day, we all want to hang out with people that we have something in common with, and often age is something in common. And if you're in your 20s, you probably are going to get more out of hanging out with people that are in their 20s and 30s than you are with people that are in their 60s. You still want that interaction, as 60-year-olds want to interact with 20-somethings, but we do tend to gravitate towards our own demographic. So make sure there's a demographic there for us to gravitate to. Now, let's talk about our value proposition. I don't know how many of you have heard about Mensa, but if you have, you know that Mensa is a membership organization exclusively for people with very, very, very high IQs. Now, if you're a member of Mensa, it doesn't really matter what the member services are. At the end of the day, all I have to do is say, I'm a member of Mensa, and everybody goes, ooh, genius. Now, by the way, I'm not a member of Mensa, and I'm pretty sure I don't have the qualifications to be a member of Mensa. So I can't tell you about the member services, but I can tell you that the cachet associated with being a member of Mensa is kind of all they really need. You don't need to be sitting around a long time to figure out what the member value proposition is for Mensa. But what if we're not Mensa? Well, entry requirements alone are not going to get us anywhere in terms of recruiting people. And often you'll see membership organizations shying away from entry requirements because they don't want to turn anyone away. So if we're not Mensa, we've got to focus on the other things: the resources and connections we provide, the advocacy and influence, the professional development, the certification, but we can't talk about them as member services. We have to look at that and say, okay, now why does that matter to the person I'm trying to attract? What's in it for them? How is this going to be of value to them? So if you're not Mensa, first of all, you want to make sure you identify what your member value proposition statement is. This is going to be the platform for all of your marketing and all of your member service delivery. Don't forget, member service delivery, you want to be thinking about delivering services with a lens around your member value proposition. If you've said This is why this resource we deliver is of value to you. Then make sure when you're delivering that resource, you explain to people, this is how you want to use it. This is how you're going to get the most value from it. This is why it's of value to you. It's not just a question of throwing the resource at them and letting them figure it out themselves. Explain to them why it's of value to them and how to use it. Make sure that they're getting as much value as they can by the member education that you're providing to them. Now, your member value proposition is not the only piece of the toolbox. It's an important foundational element, but you need a documented system around how you're going to use it. How are you going to use it to attract new members? How are you going to use it to onboard new members and engage new members and keep them engaged and then keep them coming back every year, renewing year after year? If you're looking for some help with member attraction, member engagement, or member retention, ask me about our member value proposition toolbox. We'd be happy to share our information with you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to live questions. Kevin, how are we doing for questions?
We do have a couple of questions today. First one is from an association where pride in membership is increasingly important to their member value proposition. But of course, this is quite subjective, and because of that, is quite difficult to articulate in concrete terms effectively. So what tips do you have for incorporating subjective or more intangible aspects of value proposition into an MVP statement?
This is a really good question because you can't just say that you'll feel proud to be a member of this organization. What you want to do is you've got to figure out, as part of your member value proposition exercise, ask your members, where does the pride come from and why? Those who feel proud to be a member of the organization, why are you proud? Where's that coming from? What are you feeling the pride in? Is it in you as a professional being part of that organization? Is it kind of a Mensa-like thing that it's known for having the very best people in the profession or the industry or part of the organization? Work this out in your member value proposition workshop. Where is the pride coming from and why? Why are members feeling pride? And what kind of pride is that? And what are they proud about?
Okay, so our second question is, do you recommend articulating different member value propositions for different age groups? For example, one for Generation Xers versus one for millennials? And if not, how can an association craft a member value proposition that resonates regardless of when members were born?
Okay, excellent question. And the very first step is when you're doing your member value proposition workshop and your 360-degree information gathering, make sure that you've got all of those cohorts represented. You want to make sure that you're getting their input, and if you get their input, then you're much more likely to have something that resonates across all age groups. So when you're doing your focus group, make sure that they are in the room and they are contributing. So once you come up with a member value proposition that everybody in the group feels comfortable with, now is there a way to tweak the narrative so that somebody who's in their 20s talking about their narrative around the member value proposition, they're probably going to have things in their narrative that somebody in their 50s doesn't, and vice versa as well too. So start by making sure they're in the room and you're getting their feedback so that it becomes part of the member value proposition you're creating. Now, once you've got your member value proposition created, what you want to do is to share it with key members of each stakeholder group, whatever kind of cohort they are, whether it's their age or something else. Make sure you share it and get feedback on it. You want to make sure that the effort you put into it is actually resonating with the members that you've got.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. So the next question is, we are in a period of transition, and our post-transition ideal member currently is not represented in our membership as it stands. So how do we get them to recognize their pain points and their desires? And how can we get them to recognize our organization as the solution or a big part of the solution to their pain points?
Wow, that sounds like you're going through a really big change. What I'm hearing is that you're really going after a whole different type of membership, presumably with a completely different member value proposition. I think what I would do in your situation is I would look at the members I want to attract. So look at the members that you want to attract that have circles of influence and think about what they have in common. What are their common attributes? That's probably a good starting point. You're going to be going after them anyways, presumably to attract them to the new member value proposition. So figure out who they are, exactly who they are, and then figure out what are the attributes they have in common, and maybe have a chat with them as well too. I mean, if these are the people you're trying to attract and you're changing your organization to attract those people, talk to them, see what their feedback is.
Great. So our next question is, we have our mission and vision on our website. Should we also put our MVP on the website? And should we call it an MVP or should we term it something else?
Yeah, good point. People within the membership organization industry understand what an MVP is, but outside of it, not so much. And there's no reason to assume your members would. So no, I would just call it what we normally call it in marketing terms, which is the value proposition of being a member or the member value proposition. Yes, you absolutely should have it on your website. I mean, hopefully when people are considering becoming a member, they will at least take a passing glance at your website, and you want to make sure that right there on your website, you're answering that question, what's in it for me? Absolutely, certainly, definitely on your website and anywhere else that you're using for marketing as well too.
Okay. So our next question is, uh, our membership is highly engaged and we do work hard to communicate our value, including the importance of staying connected during career transitions. However, our industry has faced significant funding cuts, and even members who do value their membership in our association just may not be able to afford renewing their membership. So, how do we rethink or readjust our member value proposition so that members who may be feeling squeezed financially still see uh, membership as essential?
Excellent question. A really, really good question. Anytime you've got the situation going on that you've just described, you're definitely going to lose members, and you're also going to have a lot of members at risk. I think you want to consider a couple of things and maybe a combination of them. If I don't have a job, obviously you're right, I'm going to be feeling squeezed financially, and membership in an organization may be one of the first things that I drop. So the reality is, if you're charging anything for the membership, you're going to lose members. And you don't know whether they're going to come back into the profession or the industry or not. It really probably depends on how long their career has been in the industry, but there's a reasonable chance they are going to come back, and you want to make sure that they are members when they come back. So first of all, consider giving them a member dues holiday. You can check in with them, every few months to see how they're doing. And you're not likely to be losing anything from a revenue perspective, because if you didn't give them some kind of a break, they would probably leave anyway. So maybe a holiday on membership, or maybe a vastly reduced membership. The other thing you might want to consider is, it sounds like in your industry or profession that this is actually something that's going around quite a lot right now. So what you might want to do is set up a peer group for people that are looking for work, and that can give them other people that they can talk about their job journey, and give them some more reason to have more contacts and more collaboration with people that are in the same kind of position as they are.
Thanks, Aaron. That appears to have been our last question for today.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I do encourage you to join us for our next podcast on June 24th. We're going to be talking about what makes high-performing organizations stand out to sponsors. It's a competitive world for sponsorship, and we'll share tips to get you noticed and valued. See you there.